more than a debate. This is a clash of visions. And from a business point of view, makes it really hard to unpick the debate and work out how it's going to impact you and your business.
Membership of the EU is a complex issue, but one with a major impact on our businesses, particularly here in the North West. In the meantime, there is no doubt that the current uncertainty around our future position in the EU is damaging business confidence.
As one of my favourite philosophers, John Stuart Mill, says, he who knows only one side of an argument knows little of that. So I think we're in a democracy, we want to hear both sides of the argument. If Brexit happens, we have to make a lot more assumptions. We know that Scotland has said it will go for a referendum if there is a Brexit. It could lead to the breakup of the UK because Scotland might choose to have another referendum, they might choose to leave. And of course that has ripples for Northern Ireland too in terms of, do we want to be isolated? So it's worth noting that some countries such as Norway, Switzerland do well without being EU members. However, both countries have made agreements with the EU which took many years to happen.
I think what we're talking about here are the powers that we have and how they may become adjusted if a Brexit occurs. The Human Rights Act, important to say, it is separate. This is a different issue. It comes from the Council of Europe. It's not from EU law, but it's not quite as simple as that. It also feeds through European law and colours some of the decisions of the European courts. Issues from the past, the 48-hour rule case, that issue found its way before the European Court, and that, if you like, protectionism was struck down by the court. So the rights of the Northern Ireland traders were protected by the EU rules.
Many of us in this room this morning will know what it was like to experience a border on our doorstep with the security and the customs checks. We know how physical borders can be a hindrance to business. In 2011, just over 111,000 jobs in Northern Ireland were linked to trade with the European Union. We export more goods and services into Europe than we import, whereas the UK imports more than it exports. Therefore, an exit will have a more acute effect on the Northern Ireland economy.
The European Union has free trade agreements with 53 countries. If the United Kingdom pulls out of the European Union, it will have to renegotiate for itself those trade agreements with 53 countries. I think it is quite likely that you will have immigration posts on the border. I think it will do damage to the relationship between North and South.
The EU is 500 million strong. The UK has 55 million people. So you've got 12% of the population of the EU. What I cannot understand is that in the language of this debate is how the EU is treated as a third party. So obviously a lot of people who are proponents of Brexit speak about the shackles of Brussels, for example. And I cannot understand how the EU is so far away. If you make up 12% of the population, why have you not got more control of what goes on? We heard an awful lot about the trade that's done between Republic of Ireland and the UK. Of course, everybody says, well, there'll be a special agreement thereafter. Not legally possible. It's just not legally possible. It will not be legally possible for the UK to develop bilateral deals with individual member states.
What a diet of fear you have been fed this morning. You're told that we in Northern Ireland, well, poor us, we just couldn't survive without EU handouts. Ladies and gentlemen, it's some of our own money coming back to us. Boomerang money. Through Brussels. Doc substantially to fund things elsewhere in Europe, and what's left comes back to us. The United Kingdom runs a huge trade deficit with the EU. In 2014, it was £59 billion. You think the Germans, the car makers, aren't going to continue to want to sell their BMWs, Porsche or Volkswagen? Of course they are. The very fact that the balance of trade lies in the way it lies is your guarantee.